Welcome to Mother May I podcast with Mr. Frank Conniff, looking fabulous, and c'est moi. Frank, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you, Irene? And this is Irene Bremis. Everyone should know.
Thank you.
I got introduced. You have to be introduced as well. Come on.
People aren't tuning in for me, Frank. They're tuning in for you.
No.
Let's just get that straight, okay?
Both of them?
People love Frank Conniff. Everybody loves Frank Conniff. Yes, both of them. I know. What are we doing wrong? Anyway, we have great guests. I've got the greatest host helping me with this show on the planet. What can I say? Frank, I've been catching up with your pictures for Millie. How is little Millie doing?
Millie's doing really good. She's getting better. She's really more her old self. I was really worried about her.
Me too.
And now she's really energetic, and she's eating, and she's snuggling, and she's doing all the great cat things that we want from our pets. And I'm because like when I first got her home from the hospital, I was really worried because she didn't seem like she had any energy or anything.
I know, she was really, really weak. And now I see her little pictures and she looks like she's gaining a little strength every day. You're a good father. You're a good parent.
I'm trying to be. It's very overwhelming, like the medication I have to give her and stuff. And I'm glad I don't have to feed her through her tube anymore because she's eating. So I don't have to do that. So I'm very relieved about that.
Well, that's amazing. Let me tell you, because you didn't like doing that, I'm going to say you're a frontline worker, and we want to applaud you for your service, Frank. Because pets are everything these days. You know it is.
I know. You know, I have to take her into my vet to get her sutures taken out, and they couldn't see me until like 2 weeks from now. They're packed.
Wow. Now is that the sutures? Now, what happens with the sutures? Do they?
That's like just the stitching. Yeah, they take it out. You know. Oh. So it's not in there forever.
Okay, but how is that going to harm her if she has to wait 2 weeks?
I hope not. But that's the soonest I can get an appointment. You know.
Wow. See, look at that. Yeah. Everybody's has the COVID waiting. Okay, this is what's going on in the world. Well, Mr. Conniff, we have a very exciting guest here today, and I'm so excited. I'm going to go ahead and also give him a little text. We're very high tech here. Okay. All right. I was in the middle of his introduction. I shouldn't do that. Okay. This man is absolutely incredible. He actually was in a band called Lettuce many, many years ago. And it was my first MC gig, if I remember correctly. He is the co-founder of a band called So Live. He has supported bands played in support with bands like the Rolling Stones, Dave Matthews Band, John Mayer, and the Roots.
Oh, come on. Anyone I might have heard of? What is this?
I haven't even gotten to his name yet, right? Come on. These people are nobodies. Why is he even on the show, Frank? This is bullshit. Okay. He regularly plays with Derek Trucks, Ivan Neville, Government Mule, the late great Greg Allman, Peter Frampton, not anymore, by the way, but used to play Peter Frampton and more.
All awesome people. I had the pleasure of meeting Peter Frampton.
Okay,
really nice guy.
I'm going to tell you, Frank, and I want you to talk to him about it. But did he have David? Did he have David Crosby come to his birthday party?
No.
Yeah, exactly.
He didn't.
So this means nothing to me, okay? He has won multiple Grammys, has his own podcast, is a producer, guitar extraordinaire, soon to be dad. This man is absolutely, there he is. There he is. Mr. One and only Mr. Eric Krasno. You missed your swooning, crazy introduction, sweetie.
Oh, yeah? Well, I'm here. I'm in my studio, which I'm still setting up. I was hoping to make it look cool, but
it does look cool. It looks cool. Oh, in that unkempt kind of way. Eric, I want you to meet the one and only Mr. Frank Conniff. This is the one and only.
Pleasure, Frank.
And a pleasure and an honor to meet you.
That's right.
I love all the kind of music that you play. I'm totally into, and I saw that you play with Derek Trucks, and I'll just reveal my age here.
Yeah.
How old I am is that I saw the Allman Brothers with Dwayne and Barry Oakley in the early 70s, must have been 1970 or 71, at the Wallman skating rink in Central Park, where they used to have concerts every summer. It cost $2.
Man, I
Ooh.
wish I could have seen that.
Yeah, it was, and they
obviously
were
never
amazing.
went.
To this day, the best thing I've ever seen ever.
It's
And he was only
Uh,
Dwayne was only like 24 when he died, and there's
Yeah, I
so
know.
much music out there. It's
He
insane.
did so much even before he was with the Allman Brothers.
Yeah.
Amazing.
He's
Yeah,
accomplished
it's
so
crazy.
much in his short life, almost like somebody I know that's on the show right now. Mr. Eric Krasno, how are you faring? I know that you're a major road dog, okay? And I was just recalling the fact that you gave me my first MC job when it was when I was MCing for Lettuce at that club. What was the name of that club, Eric? I don't remember what that was. I was scared shitless.
I don't even remember either. I'm trying to. We've played. I was thinking about that the other day. We've played just so many thousands of clubs, and so many of them are dying now. You know?
Yeah.
I've been like just watching one after the other. I feel pretty fortunate that I was kind of trying to, do more off of the road. I've been producing a lot of records and doing a lot of studio work, doing stuff for film and TV.
Right.
And so, everyone's trying to do that now. So it's become very competitive. All the touring musicians are trying to get those jobs.
Wow.
So it's not easy, but I've been doing that for a while, and I actually have a podcast too that
Yes, I saw, and I love the title. Go ahead, tell everybody what it's called. I love it.
It's called Eric Krasno +1, because those, when you're in the music industry, that's always the thing. Like, put me on the list +1.
No, we know. We're comics.
Yeah. So you know the whole deal.
You say it to the doorman. I'm with the podcast.
Yeah, exactly. So, one of the things I had started doing it before the quarantine, but at that point I was doing it video, like in my studio, as more of a performance and talk thing. And then I kind of pivoted, and everyone was sitting at home. All the musicians I knew were sitting at home. So I was able to get a lot of the people that I had mentioned it to over the years were like, okay, I'm home. So
how cool
Dave
is that guest? Oh man.
Yeah. John Mayer and Phil, the guys from the Grateful Dead. And
man.
You don't have to tell me Phil Lesh is the guy from the Grateful Dead.
Oh no, you don't have to tell me that.
So okay.
But I've got a story. I'm going to interrupt and tell you something about. I was a deadhead in college. I love Phil Lesh. He came and he played at the Lion's Den. Steve owned a comedy, not a comedy club. See, that's my wishing.
Yeah.
I'm projecting. He owned a music club. Eric, you've played there with So Live.
Played there many times. Yeah.
Phil Lesh came down, and I just wanted a picture while I was bartending, and it was like pulling teeth. He really didn't want to do it, and I was like, you know what, Phil Lesh? I was expecting you not to be such a dick at this moment in time. I'm sorry. I know you're on the show, but stop it, okay? I'm a big Giant fan. No, Jerry forever, Phil.
Jerry.
And if I can pull something from my past as a concert goer, I saw Pink Floyd on their Dark Side of the Moon tour at Radio City Music Hall. And the only reason I bring it up is because the Grateful Dead sat behind me, like just about the whole band.
Wow.
Did they know who they were sitting behind, Frank? Honest to God.
They were so high, they had no idea where they were.
They didn't know they were sitting. Yeah.
Yes.
I never got to actually see Pink Floyd, that version of Pink Floyd, but I did used to go. Did you guys ever? Irene might know about this. The Hayden Planetarium in New York.
Yes, of course.
Used to do the laser light show.
Yes,
Dark Side of the Moon. And I went as a kid, like first time I ever did acid. I think I went to that with my brother and some friends of mine, and we just
I think they called it Laserium, I think was the name of the attraction.
I did go, Eric.
Totally remember that.
Oh, so much fun. So your podcast, I'd just like to be a fly in the wall, because that is like, you've performed with so many incredible people throughout the years. I was reading it off in the beginning. What is that like? Like having, reliving and relaxing now that you're not really on stage and working, and now you have them in the studio, and you could just sort of like talk about stories when you were performing together.
It's great. To be honest, for me, it's also just a chance, and I'm sure you guys can attest to this to have some social interaction during this time.
Sure.
It's like, and for me, to be totally honest, like I just had Ziggy Marley on the show, and so it started out being mostly people that I knew really well, but like a guy like Ziggy Marley, I've worked with him a couple times, but I got to ask all these questions that if we were just sitting around hanging out, he might think it was a little weird.
Right.
What was it like, with your dad and playing records with your dad and touring with your dad? And like, he would have been like, why? What are you doing? So anyway, on a podcast, it gives you license to kind of ask these questions and learn about people. And even I had Derek Trucks on the show, who I've known.
I love him so much.
Great,
Steve,
right?
Steve is obsessed with Derek Trucks. I think he looks like Steve's son. I don't know.
They do have a. Actually, Derek came and sat in with me at the Lions Den once, and I remember Steve was so excited.
He loves
Derek
you though too. Let me tell you, you know what he's done downstairs in the basement? He's dedicated a full wall. So every time I go downstairs, I see you playing guitar in 5 different photos. Derek Truck. I'm like, this is weird. It's stalkerish, but it's weird. Okay, what next? The candle? Stop it.
I mean, so anyway, Derek, I know him well, but it's cool to have him on the show because we can delve into like this deep music talk and get into inspiration stuff. And we get into like, songwriting and some technical musician stuff. But for the most part, it's just really talking about, life on the road. And then honestly, a lot of the topic now has been around what's going on now, COVID and Black Lives Matter and all. And it's interesting getting the input from so many different people.
Right.
Like Questlove was on the show, and he was on like 2.5 hours. So so it was cool getting his perspective on a lot of things. So it's been a learning process for me because, and also it's just been great to be able to engage with people when like most of my life right now is pretty much like staying home, and my wife is pregnant
I know, I was going to bring that up. You're going to make such a wonderful dad. What a lucky baby. I'm sure it's going to be playing the guitar by the time it's like 1 year old in the months. I
hope so. I'm trying not to get too pushy on that.
Are you playing for it? No, not too pushy, except for that you've got like one of those things on it and you're playing your guitar. Not too pushy.
Also, with all the work you've done with Derek Trucks, the idea of a generational aspect to musicians and must be at the forefront of your mind, I bet.
For sure. I mean, I'm excited. I'm excited to see what happens. I mean, my dad played music around me as a kid, and my grandfather was a musician, and as Irene knows, my brother plays music, and so it's it's been a family thing. So it's funny. We just set up the living room, and we have all of the records there, and I'm planning to make sure he knows some of the old school. Right. Like look at the record covers, because I miss that. I miss that, and I'm glad that I always kept my records and I kept doing that because I had to lug them around.
Albums sleeves are great for rolling joints, and I bet you can even change diapers on them. So.
Probably can. I've done a lot of the joint rolling. It's none of the other yet.
What else is there to do? But this is amazing that you're doing this podcast. I bet you're so good at it. And it really gives like musicians a chance, like you said, to go there. You know what I mean? And to talk about all the social issues that are so important. It's very cathartic. And we need more of that right now. We don't need silence. We need people to speak out.
And I would say too that, people associate the 60s with music and activism and political activism and music relating to it. But I think the time we're going through now is just as heavy and just as intense in that in terms of musicians and artists are engaging with politics and
if not even more. I mean, I asked what I think it was called the Freedom Concert in Jamaica, where Bob Marley like puts the two leaders of the fighting parties and puts their hands together on that concert, and that was like in 1980.
I got chills.
And I was like, could you ever imagine that it would be possibly even worse right now, 40 years later?
Yeah.
And it's crazy. I mean, it's not, you try to, but you have to stay positive, and you have to but it's definitely a little depressing. And I mean, I think one of the things right now with so much interaction on social media, it's like I hope that our influence is going to turn things around, and it looks like we might have a chance right now to make some change. But I think
hope
it's really
so.
Some real change, progressive change. Go ahead.
It's also it's the artists who really lead the way on these things. The politicians hop on board later, and right now, not just the artists,
You're right,
but the athletes who are leading the way.
Yeah.
Oh my God, yes. And to think that Kaepernick, wait, oh my God, I forgot his name now.
Colin Kaepernick, yeah.
Kaepernick, that's what it was, Kaepernick. To think that it took one boy, like one young man, to just take a knee and then to have this whole thing explode where everybody's coming forward. It's just it just reminds us, Rosa Parks, like Kaepernick, like how this happens. One brave person steps forward and everybody just follows suit, and then we have real change happening.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think that we need musicians right now. Like that's the thing. I think in like you said, like in the late '60s, you go back to that time period, and like we've been talking about, a lot of these artists who are still my favorite artists to this day had so much to say about what was going on. And I think that exists now, but I think a lot of the mass media and the really huge pop artists stay out of that realm, and back in those days, Jimi Hendrix was the biggest pop artist in the world at that time.
Right.
The Rolling Stones, and I mean, all the biggest artists were saying a lot.
Saying it in words and saying it in their music too.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
Like Frank said, going back to Frank's point, activism was in music. Whether it was outwardly speaking, and it still is. It's in the lyrics. It's everything that you're putting out there. So it's very, very important.
These are the '60s right now.
They are absolutely. Even
they're
more
like
so.
Incredibly tumultuous. That people, if we survive this era, people will be discussing this era that we've lived through forever. I wish it wasn't as intense as it is, but it is, and we're all living through it and all surviving it.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I mean, it's a hard time, and it can be depressing, like you said, Eric. But you know what? Change is never easy, but necessary. And just as long as we keep speaking out about it and injustices, I think we're going to actually have the chance. And I really truly believe this. I am a Sagittarius. I'm just kidding. I was going to bring up signs. Frank always goes like this when I bring up the signs. I'm like the fatal optimist, but I really believe that we can make real change. Like look what you're doing. You're starting a podcast. You're talking about these issues. People are now home. They are stuck at home, and they are starting like these little, studios at home where they're talking about this stuff. We didn't have this before,
You're right.
We're outside. So we're getting the word out. And it's very, very important.
Yeah, we need a dialogue. The dialogue is the beginning of the change, so.
It is. Now,
I think that in a way, these times we're living through right now are so hard that in a weird way, it's kind of imposing positivity on us because, every day when I wake up in this pandemic and with all the isolation and everything, like I have to make a conscious effort to be positive.
Right.
And, that's, I wish it wasn't that the circumstance, but that's a good thing in a way that people are making that effort to, because things are so bad, to say, I can't succumb to this.
Right.
Absolutely.
I totally agree.
Enough.
Agree. And yeah, I mean, it's also, I think one of the silver linings is that we're slowing down a little. And, I know for me, like I was touring so crazy. And
oh my God, you were. You were never home.
I was never, ever home, and so for me, the timing and also having a child and all that, I'm like setting up the ability to work from home, but also kind of just slowing down my like lifestyle in general and kind of appreciating some of the little things. And at least from the people that I've been talking to, a lot of people have had that same experience during this time, spending a little more family time or with your friends or whatever it is, or with your spouse, and like, you know, working on those little projects in your house or in your life that you wanted, like all that you've been listing. You know, we just moved into a new house, and
that's amazing. Like, that's a lot to handle. Not only are we going through a pandemic and we're going through these major upheavals socially, politically, but now you have a pregnant wife and you're moving on top of it. And you're not the only one that's been in this situation. We've had another guest who's a comic also in the same boat. Now, are you in
Los Angeles? Is that
yeah. I just moved to Pasadena.
Oh, nice.
Like, you know, 5 days ago. We're still unpacking and everything, but it's great. I mean, I always kind of wanted to be a little outside of things, and there's a lot of nature around me, and it's
Pasadena's really nice. I like it there a lot.
Yeah, so I've been wanting to set this up, and we have a little bit of like land. So I'm going to build on this studio and do some, you know, it's that kind of thing I've always wanted to do. When I was in New York City, I was always wanting to like have space and have all my instruments and have all of my stuff set up. So I'm kind of like trying to bring that to reality now.
Right. So this is almost like, in a way, and this is what I told our other guests, like the fact that you're having a baby now allows you to be around more. You'll spend more quality time. Your wife will love you because you'll be there to help a lot more. Right, sweetie? So, you know,
definitely.
You'll be bonding. So this is not, you know, like you can glean some positivity from this for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Now, how does it look for the future for you and the road? Are there like, you know, are they talking about half capacity? Like, how does it work with music venues?
Well, it's really interesting and very complicated, because essentially whether artists are going to want to take the risk to tour for a lot of reasons, because one is the big companies like Live Nation are not going to be giving out guarantees like they used to. Guarantees means like, okay, here's the amount of money we're going to pay you, and if you sell this many tickets, it's over that or under that. It's never under. It's a guarantee. So they're taking those away, which is putting the risk on the artist, you know, because so a lot of the artists that have a large overhead or with tour buses and crews are not going to tour with that situation. And right now, with the social distancing, you've got these massive venues, but small amount of tickets, and you've got the same amount of security, if not more, because you've got more people being tested or being whatever. So the expense to do a show,
the overhead
to put on a show, is too high for anyone to make any money at this exact stage. So like, if that changes, I mean, I really think, to be honest, that a widespread vaccine is going to be the only thing to really change the large tours, because like right now, like I've done some social distance shows or Zoom shows, but they don't, it's like not paying a ton of money, or they're few and far between. So it's, you know, musicians are having a tough time. They've got to figure out other things that they can do. You know, and a lot of the people that I work with, you know, when I go, because I either tour on my own or with Soul Live, or as a sideman with like big people that have a big overhead and are generally older. You know, it's like Phil Lesh doesn't want, why would he tour right now? Like he's not gonna not gonna go out there and risk health and losing money. I mean, why would he? Why? So there's a lot of people like that. There's a lot of people like that don't want to tour.
I feel bad for you know, like younger musicians, younger comedians, younger actors, who are who are maybe just starting out and are at a point where they really need experience. And like for a musician, as you know, I'm sure that like one of the ways to develop your chops is by going out and doing gigs, you know, and playing
in front of a live audience.
And for comedians, you know, you can't actually do comedy unless there's an audience. So it's I feel bad for, you know, someone who's 19, 20, 21, whatever. They really should be in their formative stage of development, of learning, and it's all put on hold now. I mean, it's really an awful thing.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I guess people are writing and working on projects like that, like you said, to like for musicians, it's horrible because I mean I know so many musicians I know because I've always been like an engineer and into like the technical stuff. So I've been giving so many like lessons to my friends like how to record, how to record via internet or how to like
don't say that right now because I'll be bugging the shit out of you. You understand me? I'll be fucking calling you. I don't care that your wife is pregnant. I'll be like, Eric, answer me. No, that's why I thought it was kind of funny when I sent you that email and you're like, can I do it off my phone? I'm like, you're the only one I didn't put that in because I thought you're like Mr. Producer. What the hell's going on here?
Well, I thought I had to fight to get the internet in. They were trying to because of the COVID thing. They were like going to do it in September, and like my wife had initially called to set it up, and then I called back. I'm like, listen, dude. I can't function without the internet. I need someone out here and so they luckily they hooked it up yesterday. And
good.
Yeah, because I mean, like you said, like doing the podcast or doing anything that I do right now without. That's what I was actually. We were just talking about that. Imagine if this had happened 10 or 15 years ago without any of this connectivity.
Oh, forget it. And that's why I believe there's a bigger and greater plan because it happened now. Because we were able to still stay connected. What would happen? It happened, Frank. What was the Spanish flu? Was that the...
and
I'm not saying that you lived through it. I'm not.
Yeah, I was about to say I am a little older, but I wasn't around for the 1918 flu. Okay.
Yeah,
I missed that by a couple years.
Yeah,
clearly. Oh my God. So I think the word here is pivoting. I think people are pivoting. Yeah. I talk to a lot of comics that are also saying, "Hey, the money's shit out there. I'm not going to do this any." Like it's going backwards. It feels like comedy is such a hard thing. You always feel like you're working so hard in comedy and you're not getting paid what you should for many, many years until you hone your act. And hopefully finally you get to a point where you're making decent money. So it feels like now I have to do this and now it's going to be very little money. So you have to make those decisions,
Right.
And take that into consideration, like you said.
Yeah. I'm curious what's going to happen from here. I think that it's totally unknown. I wonder if like the vaccine is going to come and like everything's going to go back to normal, or maybe there is no normal that we know. And maybe everything is going to is just going to shift. We will see, but it's been interesting watching what everyone's doing, like watching how certain people are creating in a different way. I actually am making an album right now.
I was going to ask, what are you working on?
So I'm making a new record that I'm really excited about. And I linked up with this guy, like that's kind of my co-producer on the record who lives in San Francisco. And we've been doing it all 90% of it via like I'll kind of do the track initially and then he'll add his parts and then I'll add my parts and we do it all via satellite, essentially remotely. But it's turned out really great because I've really had time to focus on it, whereas like every album I've ever made in the past was between tours, between shows. And so that's been really cool. And I'm curious how much music's going to come out next year that was created during all this,
Oh, come on. I'm guessing a lot. Now, who are some of your greatest influences, Eric?
Oh, that's a good one. Stevie Wonder was a huge one for me. I mean, my dad had his records and he's like the one that sticks with me throughout, like, it's kind of like, it's like for me, like the Mount Rushmore is like, the Beatles, it's Stevie Wonder, Stevie Ray Vaughan and Jimi Hendrix kind of like fit together in a weird puzzle way because Jimi Hendrix to me kind of blew the doors wide open, and then Stevie Ray Vaughan kind of twisted it in his way as far as guitar playing.
And Hendrix, not just a great guitar player, a great songwriter too.
Great songwriter, amazing. And he was, very influenced by Dylan, who recently has become, I don't know, I wasn't like the biggest Dylan fan growing up because I didn't love his voice, and then I kind of found it recently. I actually covered a song of his called "The Man in Me" for a compilation called Song Aid that was like raising money for COVID relief and stuff. So actually I recorded that with this guy, Otis McDonald, who's my co-producer on the record. We did that together for this charity. And then it went so well that we were like, oh man, we should make an album. So now we're like 7 songs in, and I'm going to release it early next year. So
nice.
Yeah, so that's been exciting. I mean, making music has been really fun for me because I have I had a studio at my old house. And I'm just setting this one up, and I love creating and being able to really spend time and go deep on like the sounds and
right. Well, it's a whole production. The making of records. I'll use an old-fashioned term, records.
Yeah.
The making of it's a whole art in and of itself, and there's so many songs that are great songs, but they're also the timelessness also comes from what great records they were, by the producers who put them together.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So that's been a really cool creative outlet for me. Like, I'm very thankful that I can do what I do. Like at home, I can do that. So, I feel bad for people that like can't actually work at all or do their creative thing wherever they are, or people that are really passionate about their job that can't do their job at all. I think that would be really painful. I feel very fortunate that I can create. I mean, I wouldn't say I'm making a lot of money right now,
right?
but I'm creatively pretty fulfilled as far as,
but you're creating and you're putting stuff out there and that will yield results for you. That's just the way it is. And you do have that outlet, which is so important. The fact that you can create. Have you been in touch with Neil or any of the solo boys at all?
Yeah, a little bit. Initially to cancel all our gigs.
Oh, right.
We had to, because we kept rescheduling, and then finally it was like, we're canceling these until because we actually. Soul Live hasn't been doing a ton of shows, but in the last few years, but we were kind of rebooting a little bit, and we were planning to do the Brooklyn Bowl.
I saw you at the Brooklyn Bowl, and it was amazing.
Yeah. So we were doing the Brooklyn Bowl. We were doing.
I was your plus one.
Oh yeah, the plus one. And then we were supposed to do the Nashville Brooklyn Bowl. They were opening that, and then we had a West Coast tour that was planned for earlier in the summer. But and then we kind of like attempted at doing the like virtual, all three of us playing, which is hard for that band because it's like we're such a live thing, so like for one person to play and then the next person to add a thing and then add a thing.
That's how I feel. I feel like you can't catch my bombing on Zoom like you can when it's live. There's something so special about that.
I've had a hard time feeling bad about myself after Zoom shows, so they're not working for me.
Yeah, right. That's funny. Yeah, I've done some Zoom shows by myself, and I'm not usually. I do make solo albums, but I'm not really a solo by myself performer. So I kind of like worked that out a little in the beginning and did some Zoom shows. And they'd have a bunch of people watching, but it was funny because you had to turn them off. They would mute themselves.
I know, it's painful.
And then they turn it on and they go, "Okay, great." But like after you're done, there's like a 10-second lag of like, "Okay, wait, did anyone?
That's how I feel.
Listening? Or
I know.
That's
how it is with comedy, huh? Was that laughter?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You said
right.
Now I'm going to ask you a question.
The bad part with comedy is when you're going, "Oh, that must not be working," and they're like, "No, we can all hear you. We just nothing."
No, we can hear you. Now, is there anybody in particular that you like to that you feel like you connect and mesh with the best when you play? Somebody you feel like is like your perfect counterpart?
Well, I'd say I have a few. I've always loved playing with Derek Trucks.
You guys play so well together. Honestly, God,
he's one of those guys that like just listens and knows how to react. And I mean, obviously, he's incredible. John Scofield's another guy I've played with a lot.
Oh, I love John Scofield. I've been listening to him forever.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly, I was a fan growing up, and then when we got to work with him, I was I was super fanboy. I should have put John Scofield in that earlier list because he's definitely in there for me. But getting to play with him has been so cool. And every time there's guys like that where you play with them and you just you can feel yourself getting better just being around them,
Right.
Like, when they're playing, I'm reacting off of them and I'm like, oh wow, like so you feed off of their greatness, people like that. There's a young guy named Marcus King who I've worked with a lot. I don't know if Irene. I don't know if you've heard it. I bet
Marcus, I feel like I have. Steve probably knows. Yeah.
Yeah, he's Marcus. Great. He's great. Young guy, way like beyond his his years. I think he's like 23 now, but I've known
Wow,
him since he was like 18.
so young.
Yeah, he's incredible. So definitely check it. Great singer, great
Wow.
player. So yeah, there's quite a few, but I'd say, you know, those are like the core guys, and then obviously playing with the Soul Live guys. I mean,
Come on, you guys. I always loved it. It's near and dear to my heart because, you know, you actually, Jeff, who is Eric's brother, was the label. He was your label, right? Am I getting this right?
Yep,
So
label and manager for years.
And manager for years. And then Neil Evans and his brother, you know, played drums, and then he played the piano or keyboards. So it was just like such a brethren. It's such a family, you know, vibe to you guys, and it was great. I loved you guys.
How about people that you haven't played with that you've always wanted to play with?
Good question.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. You know, I'm so into like the old school guys, you know,
right.
So it's like, you know, unfortunately, a lot of them aren't around. I've been fortunate to play with a lot of them though, like BB King I got to play with. And,
we have a guitar.
And we opened for the Stones on a couple tours, which was epic for me.
I bet.
But
Amazing.
yeah, I'm trying to think of guys. I mean, of course, I wish I could have played with like Stevie Ray Vaughan and people like that.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of D'Angelo's, like the soul.
Oh yeah.
I got to work with him once, but I would love to play with him. Also the guy who plays bass for him is a guy named Pino Palladino, who I've met a few times. I played with him once, and I'm just like a massive fan of.
I went in. My friend John Fugelsang, I was on his radio show, and I went in to him one day, and I said, "This was not long ago." I said, "Oh, I heard this great artist, this great song, D'Angelo." And he's like, "Frank, he's been around since the 90s.
Yeah,
like I thought I had made this great discovery.
You were recovering in the 90s, Frank. It's okay. You got sober. What's bigger than that? Hello.
Yeah. I mean, Paul McCartney's still alive, and he supposedly puts on a great show to this day. I mean, I don't know. Like,
I've heard that he does. I haven't seen him, but everyone who's seen him has raved about him, and I even. I'm very envious of few people I know who've met him, and apparently he's a very gracious, very nice person to meet. Which I would just, I've never met a Beatle in my life. I don't know if I could handle meeting a Beatle. I would lose my shit. You know.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Well, if you want, Frank could probably hook you up with David Crosby because he went to his birthday party.
Oh wow, cool! I love David Crosby.
Yeah, he's great.
David Crosby.
He was at my birthday party, and I've never stopped talking about it since. So
that's amazing. He's actually been like, or I guess in the last few years, he linked up with this group called Snarky Puppy.
Yeah, Snarky Puppy. Yeah, Becca Stevens, and he's
and I know those guys pretty well. And
he's doing a lot of great, until the pandemic was putting out. Yeah, was more productive than ever, and very engaged in what he was doing. It's pretty amazing.
I saw a documentary that came out.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. It was really interesting.
Yeah, there's a lot of, and that's the thing, a lot of documentaries coming out. There was one about the Wu-Tang gang that has nothing to do with this, but I love that. It has absolutely nothing to do with this, okay?
Except Staten Island.
Staten Island. And I want to thank you for coming. You're the only one that, out of all the years that we've been here, you actually, no matter how busy you are on the road, remember you came over, you made the trip.
Yeah,
you're like one out of 3 people the whole time that we've been here that actually came to Staten Island. Thank you for that.
I think that's the only time I've been to Staten Island, to be totally honest.
I'm born and raised in New York City, still have never been.
Frank, you have to get your butt on the ferry. We've been trying to make these plans, and then all of a sudden COVID hit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And people get concerned about everything. So I'm going to ask you, are you having a boy or a girl, or is that something you don't want to reveal?
No, it's a boy. It's a boy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Now, if it were a girl, it wouldn't make a difference now if you wanted to turn her into a musician. She'd be the baddest ass guitarist, female guitarist.
Oh, yeah. No, it doesn't matter. I was excited, honestly, for either, but the only thing was we had a lot of really good names for girls, and it's been really hard to figure out a name for a boy.
Oh, yeah?
So,
like what are some of the names that you picked out for a girl? Maybe I can help you here.
Well, we had like Olivia was one, and Sophia.
Okay.
I can't remember. We had a bunch.
To try to make them like Olivia into a boy name, but it's not
hard.
It's hard.
We've been trying.
Like Ollie. Ollie's kind of cute.
Oliver, Ollie.
Oh, Oliver. Yeah. It goes from like that pretty, like, Olivia, which is like so gorgeous and beautiful. But that's, that's amazing. So you have a little boy on the way, and you're working on your studio, and you guys are together 20. I'm sure your wife is very happy to have you home more, right?
Yeah, she's happy she's also happy that I have the studio and I can lock me in here.
Right.
No, it's been great, honestly. I was actually going to be busier than ever up until like a couple weeks before the due date. Like I think I canceled 90 or 100 shows or something.
Wow.
That's happened to me last week too. It was like, you know what? I can't. I'm just kidding. No one's blinking. Really? No one's blinking? I have a question for you, Eric, before we go, because we're running out of time, and you've been such a delight. I mean it. So fun to have on.
Thank you for having me. This is
my God. Thank you for doing it. I wanted to ask, like, what are some of your favorite female influences and some of your favorite female musicians in the business?
I gotta start with saying Janis Joplin, because I recently saw some clips from Festival Express. So did you guys ever see that? It was about like the tour that happened on a train back in like I must have been 68 or 9 or something, and it was the Grateful Dead, Janis Joplin, and the band, and like Janis Joplin was just such a badass. I agree. On so many levels, breakthrough. Like just on multiple. Like we can't go into all of them, but yes, I agree. Yeah, I mean, and just like was so fearless in her performance and all that. I'm a huge fan of Aretha Franklin.
Sure.
Yeah.
One of the greatest. We actually got to open.
I got to see her. Oh, wow.
It was unreal.
How come that's not in your wiki, sweetie?
I don't know.
You got to put that shit in there.
You got to edit that thing.
You got to edit that.
I love Shaka Khan.
I saw her too.
Yeah, we got to play with her too.
Amazing.
Insane.
Brilliant.
And I'm trying to think of some other great ones.
What about the badass that plays with Derek Trucks? I mean, what's that woman?
Susan Tedeschi. You're talking about
Susan Tedeschi, right.
Susan's amazing. She's one of my favorite current artists, period, guy or girl.
She's brilliant.
Yeah, actually, there's an artist that she's a friend of ours, but I'm like a huge fan of her records named Emily King. She's from New York, and it's kind of like soulful pop music, really great songwriter. If you guys don't know,
I'm going to check her out.
And Frank will. And Frank will. I will too. That's amazing. Amazing. We're running out of time. We have less than a minute, and I just really want you to plug your podcast, sweetie, before we wrap it up.
Yeah. So it's called Eric Krasno +1. You can actually go to. I have a website, just Eric Krasno, KRASNO +1 PLUSONE.com, or you can go to my Instagram, which is at Eric Krasno. Or I think we have one. Yeah, we have one for the podcast, just Kraz +1, KRAZ +1. And we got a lot of great guests on there. Like I said, people like Derek Trucks and John Mayer and Dave Matthews and Ziggy Marley's going to be on soon. And we're doing a lot of fun stuff. And I'm just going to start to do some videos. And as things open up, hopefully we'll have more performances as a part of the. That's part of the concept,
Yeah, that's amazing. We're looking forward to it. We're going to add the link to the show. I'm sorry we have to go. I love you, Eric.
I love you too.
So awesome. Great to meet you. Thank you.
Great to meet you, sweetie.
Thank you for having me, guys.
Of course. Thank you.
Take care.
Bye.